Hark, ye red-blooded revelers of snackery, it is I, the Duke of Dunsberger, snackmaster of the Knights Niblar, and I bring tidings of gluttonous joy. For too long hath the night shift gone snackless, and so I proclaim the dawn of the after-dark dunce menu, available from the hour of 11 until the rooster croweth. Hear ye also that by royal proclamation I beseech thee, if ye be so fortunate to be a ticket holder to see Mitch Maloney on his imminent Unstoppable Force World Tour, brought to you by Dunsko International, bringeth thine stub down to thou nearest Dunsberger, and receiveth thine complimentary Duke of Dunsberger Bobblecrotch Pazuzu doll. Take it from the Duke. You'll be royally satisfied.
You are listening to the audio edition of Unstoppable Farce, the Mitch Maloney story, by Mitch Maloney, read by the author.
Chapter 21. The Putrid Stench of Marc Maron's Garage. It's good to see you again, Marc Maron. I'm honored you came out of retirement to do this. Your show has been a real inspiration.
Hey, thanks, man. That means a lot.
Just listening to all those professional chuckle-chuckers shooting the shingles with you, I realized what a low bar of entry this profession has. That literally anyone can succeed in this business, no matter how pathetic or feeble-minded they might be. Great stuff.
Well, thanks for doing it, man. I know we've had our issues in the past.
I'm not sure what you're referring to, Marc Maron. As far as I was aware, we got along great.
Oh, right. Just a force of habit, I guess.
His voice seems different than how I remember it. Maybe you noticed that too. Maybe you thought my impression was off or something, but that's not it at all. I guess retirement can have strange effects on a man. One thing's for sure, it isn't that my vocal impression is lacking. I'm totally nailing it. It's his voice that has changed. Another surprise is the decor. I'd expected the curated clutter, the tchotchkes and bullshit, the artifacts of his nostalgia, but not the piles of spell books, the pagan statuettes, or the giant pentagram carved into the floor. I don't remember any of that the last time I visited the garage. And then there's the smell, the reeking aroma of rotting meat, sulfur, and weapons-grade cat urine. The only smell I remember before was the patchouli incense, which was bad enough. But I respect Marc Maron and his place in the history of comedy, so I choke down the vapors as politely as I can. As far as I'm concerned, this is one of the holiest places in comedy, right up there with the Tomb of the Unknown Comic and the bottom of the Hudson River.
Well, why the bottom of the Hudson?
Did I say the bottom of the Hudson? I meant the basement of the Hyuk Zone. Great club in Hackensack. I think that's where Bill Hicks tried cocaine for the first time.
So how'd we get here, man? How did you become like the number one guy? Take me back to the beginning.
Well, like Milton Berle said, to my knowledge, I did nothing that first day of my life to indicate any talent for show business except staying alive. And in this crazy business, that is a very big talent.
Endnote 1.
Milton Berle, huh? Is he one of your guys?
I'm not sure about his onstage shtick, but he's got a terrific autobiography. And I should know, I've read thousands of them. Like Joseph Grimaldi said, I've always harbored a fascination with whether they were born clowns or gradually turned into clowns as they grew up.
Endnote 2.
Grimaldi, wasn't he like a famous clown back in the Victorian era or something?
Late Georgian, early Victorian. Punchline peddling didn't start with Richard Pryor or Lenny Bruce. This weird job that we have, this task of turning keen observations into laughs and laughs into cash and then cash into offshore bank accounts, is older than Frank Fay or Mom's Mabley. It goes back even farther than Herodes Atticus, who traveled around the Roman Empire talking smack about the Stoics like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius, just like any good road dog of our own time. And then he took all the drachmas he made on the road and he built a theater in Corinth and a stadium in Delphi and the Orpheum at the Acropolis in Athens. The final stop of this tour. The final stop in the Unstoppable Force tour? Well, technically, it's the Unstoppable Force trademark the Mitch Maloney World Tour, brought to you by Dunsco International, copyright 2027. Look, I don't want to toot my own horn too loudly, but the fact is that this tour, my act, is the apotheosis of all the philosophical and intellectual achievements of all the great thinkers of history. Which is why I've chosen the Acropolis, that monument of human achievement and temple of divine inspiration, for the tour finale. How do you even know all this stuff anyway, man? I don't think I know anything before Shecky Green. I read it in Juvenile, of course. Juvenile? You mean like the hip-hop guy? I think I like that guy. Did you catch his Tiny Desk concert? I did, and it was excellent, but I'm referring to the Roman historian Juvenal, Decimus Junius Juvenalis for long, who wrote of Herodes Atticus in his 11th satire.
Endnote 3.
No kidding. I knew you were into books by famous comedians, but I didn't realize you went that deep. You didn't think it went farther back than my signed first edition of How to Talk Dirty and Influence People? I've always said it is a sacred duty of the comedian to know our roots and to honor our forequipsters. So the Acropolis, that's the end of the tour, which is important, but you're kicking it off at the Hollywood Bowl? That's crazy. That's right. As soon as this conversation is finished, I am headed off to the beautiful Hollywood Bowl for the kickoff of the tour. And there's tens of thousands of Maloney fanwitches who've been camped out for weeks waiting to be let in. See, now I've always felt that for comedy to work, there needs to be a connection, between the audience and the performer, which for me, I don't know, personally, I don't feel like you can get that in some massive auditorium. See, you get it, Marc Maron. There's nothing like that sense of intimacy you get in a smaller venue. That's exactly why I insisted on the Hollywood Bowl instead of Dodger Stadium, which is what the investors wanted. But I told them it's vital to connect with the audience, at least for the first stop. But I've got Wrigley a few days later, so that should keep the bean counters happy. Mulaney's on board for that one, and I'm with Kevin Hart at Lincoln Field in Philly, Burr at the Garden. And these things are selling out fast, right? Have the shows been selling out quickly? I guess you could say that. I guess you could say that selling out Wembley Stadium in 12 seconds is pretty quick, considering it beat the previous record by 27 seconds. What's important to me is speaking the truth and expressing myself through the ancient art of quippery. So you're really at the summit of Success Mountain right now, but isn't that a problem on a certain level? Like, don't you feel like you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop? I mean, you can't just ride a wave of success this high forever, right? Look, Marc Maron, anyone who's followed my career for 10 minutes knows I'm not focused on the future any more than I am the past. I'm committed to sticking to the present tense, no matter how challenging that might make certain passages of this memoir. I roll out of bed around 11 a.m. just like anybody else, and then I get in the back of my armored limo or helicopter or super yacht or whatever it is, and my affable Swedish chauffeur Leif takes me to the next gig. You know how it is. Life on the road, am I right, Marc Maron? Right, but on some level, what we're talking about is manifestation, right? Like, even if it's all just some sort of a simulacrum that you've generated in your own mind. You ever read the Grimorium Verum or the Book of Abramelin or any of these old occult texts? There's something there, man. You see, there's these guys in the 15th, 16th century summoning demons to get what they want, knowledge,
right? Power, a better gig, right? Like the whole process, the rituals, the sigils, all this elaborate preparation, that's comedy. You stand in a dark room, muttering incantations into the void, hoping something unseen responds to you. That's every open mic I ever did. I don't know, man. But the idea that there's a system for dealing with darkness, a way to organize the chaos in your head, I think that's kind of beautiful, man. I don't read that kind of pseudo-mystical trash, Marc Maron. Not while there's still famous comedian autobiographies to read. And there will always be more famous comedian autobiographies to read. Take it from me. Reminds me of something Richard Belzer once said. Oh. Hey, folks. This chapter is brought to you by BitterHelp, the online counseling service for people so immersed in the world of comedy that they're no longer able to know where the hot takes end and the trauma begins. What makes BitterHelp different is that all their therapists have a background in stand-up and/or comedy-adjacent podcasting, so they get where you're coming from. BitterHelp sessions are online, so you can log in anytime, anywhere. And BitterHelp offers a therapist matching service that can calibrate your levels of cynicism to find the right counselor for you. So if traditional therapy feels too sincere, maybe it's time to get some BitterHelp. BitterHelp counselors are not licensed therapists. Any emotional breakthroughs you may experience are purely incidental, and any perceived malpractice is legally intended only for purposes of amusement. BitterHelp is a subsidiary of Duntz Pharmaceuticals, a division of Duntz Co. International. I think that's a first, man. I mean, a lot of people slip in their plugs during the conversation, but as far as I can remember, that's the first time someone's done a straight-up ad read. Well, they're on my podcast, so anyway, you got any specific themes or topics you're going to be focused on for this tour, man? All I can do is go out there and give the people the finest collection of quips they've ever heard. My rule of thumb, my guiding principle, is that bad comics punch down, good comics punch up, great comics punch within. That's kind of beautiful, Mitch. Tonight, for example, I've got a fresh chunk about what an idiotic douchebag my brother-in-law is. Oh yeah, so he's one of those guys? He gets all his information and opinions from some random idiot with a podcast. Now that sounded kind of personal, man. I thought we were cool. But as you know, I try to come up with a fresh hour every single time I perform. So throughout the tour, I'll just be winging it out there as usual. Yeah, but you have some classic bits that you always go back and revisit, right? At the end of the day, I'm not just a brave, truth-telling philosopher king. I'm also an entertainer. Am I going to give them a taste of my Mina Suvari and Mira Sorvino bit that they've dreamt of hearing live in person at the back of an enormous auditorium? I'm not a heartless monster, Marc Maron. Will the subject of cheesy pleasers be mentioned? You can count on it. The difference is, right now, I'm at the apex of my evolution as a chuckle chucker. So it'll be from a more mature perspective, you know what I mean? I've got my PhD in gutbusterology now, so you can expect a more sophisticated approach with biting social commentary woven in, plus about 20 minutes on Japanese toilets. There's not much to it, right, Marc Maron? Just a man and a microphone. As Cameron Esposito put it, to do stand-up, you just begin. You get to an open mic, you tell a joke, you write a new joke, and repeat.
Endnote 4.
You know, it's funny you should mention Cameron Esposito, because I was talking to her the other day, and she told me that you got a bit in your act that might be the intellectual property of another comic. Some guy named Dadurian. You know anything about that? I have no idea what you're talking about, and frankly, I'm shocked. When it comes to authentic originality, Mitch Maloney is beyond reproach. I've never heard of this common open micer you mentioned, Darudian or whatever you said. Dadurian. Right, sure, Dadurian. I have no idea who that is. My promise to the Maloney fanwiches is that every punchline is an original Maloney. Okay, so you're on the record now. I'm about to restate my flat and conclusive denial, but the words choke in my throat. The stench has become overpowering, so revolting it takes all of my powers of concentration not to retch all over the Shure SM7B microphone in front of my face. Okay, then moving on, I guess. So you've taken some heat for some of the dates you've played on the back end of this tour, so let's talk about Saudi Arabia. What do you have to say to people that say you're giving cover to an authoritarian regime, a regime that still condones slavery? That's ridiculous. Slavery is illegal in Saudi Arabia and has been since 1962. What they've got is something called the kafala system, whereby migrant workers earn their right to stay by performing menial tasks for the rich and powerful in perpetuity under threat of detention if they abscond from their household duties, which sounds fair enough to me. Crown Prince Turki bin Abdullah explained it all to me. It's an honor and a privilege to play the rib cracker room in the beautiful Muhammad Ali Theater. You should see the green room amenities, Marc Maron. Caviar bar as far as the eye can see, not to mention the swag barge. But on top of that, you're letting this guy, this Turki al-Sheikh, the head of the so-called entertainment authority, open for you? What am I gonna say to the guy that invited me to headline his festival? That he can't do 20 minutes of crowd work before my set? Besides, Turkey's a great guy. You should hear his chunk about women drivers. Killer stuff. But isn't that the same guy with a whole wing of the Al Hayr prison named after him, where political prisoners are hung up by their ankles? That's him, all right. See? You've got to be a pretty respectable guy for people to name government buildings after you. And you should see the guy's kafia, one of the nicest kafias in the kingdom, not to mention his collection of gold-wrapped luxury sports cars. He said I can pick one. I was going to take the Bugatti, but now I'm leaning toward the Bentley. Sure, but you're literally platforming a murderous autocrat and singing their praises like this. Don't you worry that to some people's ears, you might sound like you're selling out? You're damn right I'm selling out. In fact, I've sold out all the premier venues in the Persian Gulf. It's easy to maintain your integrity when no one's offering to buy it out. Isn't that right, Marc Maron? Sorry, just a minute. Hey man, we're kind of in the middle of something here. Would you mind turning off your phone? Should just take a minute. Hey Gabby, what's up? Just call Ali Wong. And if she can't do it, I guess give Margaret Cho a ring. We'll talk later, okay, after I wrap this thing up. So, what was that phone call about? Oh, that was just my agent Gabby Gersh. Unfortunately, Atsuko Akatsuka had to cancel as my opener tonight. Some kind of scheduling snafu, I guess. What are you gonna do? Like Rodney Dangerfield said, what do you think life is? Moonlighting canoes? Life is fear and tension and worry and disappointments.
Endnote 5.
So after Saudi Arabia, you've got a gig in Turkmenistan? Ah, yes, the lovely Turkembazi Ruby Mosque, right in the heart of beautiful Ashbagat. And the autocrat that runs that country is going to be your opener, this Serdar Berdi Muhammadov, who bankrupted the entire country to build these giant gilded monuments to himself? It's Berdi to his friends, Marc Maron. He's got a real cutting-edge act, actually, kind of a comedy rap thing. He's a pretty hip guy. You see how it sounds like you're shilling for him, man. According to Human Rights Watch, that's one of the most oppressive regimes on earth. We're talking about a documented history of human rights abuses. Look, Mark, maybe you think you're above accepting a complimentary, customized F-14 with a picture of your face on the side 10 feet tall. But give me a break. Who hasn't committed a few human rights abuses? I heard your interview with Gallagher. How dare you? That man is a treasure. Hi, Gabby. Are you kidding me? Well then, see if Mark Norman or Dan Soder are available, and maybe Bergazzi can fill in for Mike. Okay, bye-bye. That's weird. Shane Gillis and Birbiglia both canceled. Well, that's a bummer, but like Dick Gregory said, those of us who weren't destroyed got stronger. Got calluses on our shoulders, and now we're ready to change the system.
Endnotes 6.
I guess my struggle is kind of like Dick Gregory's, only more important because I'm so much more successful, obviously. I'm just gonna let that one slide right past, man, because I'm going somewhere with this. So after Turkmenistan, you're gonna do a gig in North Korea? Come on, man. Not just any gig, Marc Maron. Rungrado Stadium, the biggest stadium in the world. I believe it's important to bring stand-up to every corner of the globe, especially to those societies so backward that most of the citizens have never even seen an arena-level headliner in person. Can you imagine? Do they even know what it is to laugh if they've never laughed at a professional comedian? And you're letting Kim Jong-un do a set? Seriously? Sure. Why not? I saw a Dunstube video of a set he did at the last Workers' Party Congress. He had a room full of party officials in the palm of his hand. Row after row of smiling faces laughing in unison. You can't fake that kind of charisma. Man, I can't believe you're letting these sociopathic dictators open for you, man. What can I say? Everybody wants to be a comedian. That isn't just a dumb cliche anymore. It's the literal truth. And that includes the dictators. Who am I to trample their dreams? Besides, do you know what the seating capacity of Rungrado Stadium is? 150,000, Marc Maron. That's 3 Yankee stadiums. You think I'm gonna turn that down? But you're also headlining the Decapitation Festival in Jalalabad for the supreme leaders of the Taliban? Oh, sure, it sounds bad when you say it out loud like that. Look, Marc Maron, it's easy for a retired podcaster such as yourself to throw rocks at the captain of the foosball team at the top of Mount Everett, but people living in authoritarian dictatorships buy comedy tour tickets too. In fact, sometimes it's mandatory. I'm sorry, Marc Maron, but I'm having trouble breathing. What in the world is that putrid stench? I've been trying to ignore it, but it's suffocating. Oh, sorry about that, man. I guess I've gotten used to it, you know? I mean, I think it's got to be the cats. I guess we're both cat guys, right? Like, on your Lick My Cheesy Pleasers tour with Chappelle, you wore a embroidered snow leopard jacket, and for the Rarefied Mirth special, you had a Black Panther painted on a velvet blazer. That's sort of a signature thing for you, isn't it? Now that you mention it, that goes back at least to junior high when I memorialized a fluffy silver kitten named Maximilian that wandered into the woods when I wasn't looking, onto the back panel of my thrift store denim jacket with a pack of colored Sharpies. Damn it, Marc Maron, you almost got me. But like I said, nobody's asking for stories about what happened before I was a famous comedian. Are we doing this, man? Hi, Gabby. I hope this is good news for a change. Not even close, you say? Stavros Halkias, Gianmarco Ceresi, and David Cross are all canceling? Level with me, Gabby. Is this some kind of backlash in response to the whole profiting from brutal dictatorships brouhaha? Yeah, I figured. Well, I'm not sure what to tell you, Gabby. Why don't you go over Modern Chuckler or Chortle Aficionado magazine's lists of top new punchline peddlers to watch in 2027 and give their agents a call? Hey, is everything okay, man? Oh, well. Like Eliza Schlesinger said, it's only by going through heartbreak and loss and successes and failures that you can look back and evaluate your mistakes.
Endnotes 7.
I'll be fine, as long as I've got the backing of the good people at Dunsko International. Hear ye, noble nibblers and common chompers of Delishaburgia. It is I, the Duke of Dunsberger, fresh from the royal kitchens and fit to burst with proclamations. Loyal subjects of Delishaburgia rejoice, for the smorgasbord stackwich hath become available across the land for a limited time at participating locations. So smite thine hunger today with a towering colossus of taste. 5 delicious layers of flame-kissed improbable meat patties, charred onions, imperial simulated cheddar product slices, and our new tangy Duke sauce, made from a recipe dating back to medieval. Gabby, I'm in the middle of a Dunsberger ad read. I can't. What? Seriously? Then who's going to be the Duke of Dunsberger? Mike Kaplan? He's not fit to wear my sesame seed crown. Screw them. Who needs Dunsberger anyway? Have you ever tried eating that crap? Disgusting. What's that now? Due to contractual stipulations, we're also losing all of the venues in North America? Well, that's all right. So it'll be more of a European... So, Western Europe's out too? And Australia. I see. And does that include New Zealand as well? I see. So we've still got Riyadh and Abu Dhabi and Qatar and Jalalabad and Pyongyang and Ashgabat and Maragaza? I mean, those are the real moneymakers anyway, right? So who needs Dunsberger? Anyone who thinks a little thing like pulling corporate sponsorship is going to stop Mitch Maloney hasn't been paying attention to the running time of this chapter. As long as I've got you on my team, Gabby, there's nothing I can't... What's that? You're dropping me? Gabby Gersh is dropping Mitch Maloney. Are you kidding me? After all of your screw-ups and Gabby? Gabby, are you there? Is everything okay, man? It's fine. Everything is just fine. After all, that's the big challenge of life. To chisel disappointment into wisdom so people respect you and you don't annoy your friends with your whining.
Endnote 8.
You know, that rings a bell. Where's that from? It's a quote by a comedian and podcaster I respect and admire. I'm going to need more to go on here. It's from a little book called Attempting Normal. I like the title. It's you, Marc Maron. It's your book, Attempting Normal. Oh, yeah. Anyway, didn't you make a deal with the devil at some point? That's the legend, right? That ought to come in handy at a time like this. Not the devil, Marc Maron. Beelzebub. He's a lesser demon that specializes in comedian contract law. And just because I signed a piece of parchment in my own blood in exchange for a little career advancement doesn't mean I've had it easy. Obviously a lot easier than hard work and discipline, but I still have to bust my hump to maintain this level of success. Hey man, you ever think about your soul spending the rest of eternity cleaning the toilets in Hades or whatever? Well, maybe you should think about cleaning out the litter box in this garage once in a while. For the love of St. Larry, at least Hades won't smell as bad as this garage. There's no litter box, man. What do you mean there's no litter box, Marc Maron? My cats don't use them anyway, man. You see, I signed up with this cross-eyed goat man with bat wings that calls himself Bamo Fett. I guess he's the expert when it comes to infernal feline reanimation stuff. They're back now, and they can never die again, because I made them undead. My cat angels. Where are they right now, Marc Maron? They're all around us, man. They're everywhere. Come on out, Boomer. Come on out, LaFonda. It's okay, monkey. For a split second, it occurs to me that maybe with his help, I could bring back my own cat angels. I could bring back Carl and Kaylee and even little Maximilian. But that notion vanishes away as the creatures come into focus. On the windowsill, a cat-shaped shadow transforms into an elderly, almost skeletal orange tabby, its fur faded and clumpy and patchy, exposing strands of foul-smelling grayish fluid oozing lesions, the unmistakable indication of neck grossness. On the warped pine rafter above clings a calico with an exposed and seeping rib cage, its spine bowed in a grotesque state of decomposition. A third foul-smelling feline leaps to the top rail of Marc Maron's chair, tail twitching like a dying metronome, its black and white tuxedo fur coat peeling off in patches from the gore below. Boomer lives indeed, or whatever's left of him, His milky eyes are clouded over with pure tough action, as if the inevitability of death itself...
Okay, that's it. That was 3 in a row, Mitch. Are you intentionally taunting me?
Not sure what that means, Darburius. I do know that I was in the middle of a pretty gripping description of some cat zombies before you decided to butt in.
Okay, first you said that the orange tabby had the unmistakable indications of neck grossness. I am pretty sure you meant to say necrosis.
Neck roses? What's that? If you'd seen these oozing lesions where its collar should have been, you'd see what I mean by neck grossness. Definitely not roses, Darburius.
Okay, fine, maybe. But then you said the calico was in a state of decomposition?
That's right. Hunched over like he's praying. You know, like a little undead cat priest or something.
An undead cat priest? So you didn't mean to say decomposition?
If I meant decompression, I would have said it. That doesn't even make sense in this context.
Well, okay, how about pure tough action? You said the tuxedo cat's eyes were clouded over with pure tough action. You must have meant to say putrefaction, right? Mitch, please tell me you meant to say putrefaction.
I'm not sure what a putrefaction is supposed to be, but this cat looks like he's been through hell and is still itching for a fight, despite the cataracts. Pure tough action, just like I said.
Look, Mitch, I wasn't going to interrupt anymore, but these mistakes are really piling up, and I'm just trying to protect your reputation.
Well, maybe my reputation would be better served by an audio engineer who didn't interrupt me every chapter to ruin my flow when I'm in the middle of a story, especially a gory description of zombie cats.
Fine, have it your way. Let the world see the depths of your ignorance.
I do have deep, edgy rants. Thank you very much. So where am I again? Oh, that's right. I'm in Marc Maron's disgusting, stinking garage, surrounded by his supposed cat angels. Those aren't angels, you sick b****. They're demonic, rotting abominations. Maybe you're right, man. Sometimes it's hard to know the difference. You know, Marc Maron, on second thought, maybe this isn't the best time for a chit-chat.
What happened to you, Marc Maron? You don't even sound like yourself. Sometimes you sound like Woody Allen, and sometimes you sound like Johnny Fever, but mostly you just sound like some soulless, generic East Coast hippie type.
I rip off my headphones and move quickly toward the door, dodging the unholy, yowling, pus-covered obscenities on my way out. Sure enough, my affable Swedish chauffeur Leif is standing by in the cockpit of my waiting Grumman F-14 Tomcat, with my airbrushed face and name in gold painted on the side. Who says cozying up with fascist autocrats doesn't have its benefits? I'm not sure if I should call it the Mirth Missile or the Chuckle Rocket, or maybe just the Jest Jet. That's got a certain ring to it. Fire up the Jest Jet, Leif, I holler, frantically waving my arms, as the unholy yowling of the undead cats and Marc Maron's gravelly shouting echoes behind me. Are we good, man? We're good, right? Are we good?
This audio edition of Unstoppable Farce, the Mitch Maloney story, was made possible by the Seventh Reformed Church of Latter-day Witnesses, the Bleepers.